Hey there everyone, Zach Butler YGO back with another video. This is one that's been pretty highly requested lately, which has just been an update to my Blue Eyes White Dragon deck for the Doom of Dimensions format. Now, I just want to apologize really quick for the little bit lower tech. This is a bit of rushed. I have a lot of other stuff going on behind the scenes for some upcoming projects, so be on the lookout for that. But I wanted to get this to you anyway, just in time for YCS Anaheim, in case you're looking for some inspiration, or if you have any regionals or anything coming up. Now, this is just what I'm currently testing. I will go over some other options as well throughout the deck, but I do think it's a pretty solid starting point. And if you're newer to the deck, then it's also a really solid starting point because it's very low to the ground, very straightforward with how the deck plays. If you want to see more content based on how the deck works, go ahead and check out the other videos that I have related to the Blue Eyes deck. It's been, kind of a big part of the channel for a while. So let's just jump right into it though. First up, we have for starter cards for the Blue Eyes engine, we have 3 Sage with Eyes of Blue, of course. Can't play anything less than that. 3 Maiden of White, again, that's a very obvious inclusion. But then I'm also playing 1 Kaiser Seahorse. Now, this is actually just because I wanted to have a bit more of a bridge between the Primite engine and the Blue Eyes engine. I'm cutting back on some of the other non-engine options as well, so we have a little bit more room. It's also just like a solid search target in general for cards like Magnamut. It just kind of does everything you want it to do overall. It's a pretty decent card. Then, of course, you have your 2 Blue Eyes White Dragons, and then I'm still playing 3 Wishes for Eyes of Blue. Again, I know a lot of players are fans of cutting this to 2, but I still think that you want to max out on your starter cards, especially your higher quality ones while you can, and it's a decently high quality starter card. It also just can remove some of those pricks from your hand, which is always going to be good. Then you've got 1 Roar of the Blue Eyed Dragons, 1 Mausoleum of White, 1 Majesty of the White Dragons, and 1 True Light. This is all pretty standard. The Kaiser Seahorse is a card that I think is definitely worth considering, and if you have room for it in your deck, you should definitely put it in there. From there, we have the Primite engine of 3 Ether Barrel, 3 Lordly Load, and the 1 Drill Beam. I don't think I need to explain this one at this point. This is just the best pairing for the Primite engine. The Blue Eyes deck and the Primite cards go hand in hand. It's been a staple for the entire time this deck has been a thing, honestly. Then, of course, you've got, for non-engine, I am playing 3 Fulos. That is actually the only Wall Charming I'm playing in the deck at all. Perulia isn't that great into Mitsurugi, which is a deck I'm really concerned about. It's also only okay into Yummy a lot of the times, so they can kind of bypass that. Fulos is going to be the better one. It's also really good into Draco Tail, obviously. It's just kind of the best one overall, so I figured we'll play 3 of those. Then there's 3 Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, 3 Infinite Impermanence. I bumped it up to 3 Effect Veiler. This is a card I'm not totally sold on yet, but I do want to try out multiples of it because it's one of the only cards that can answer Arthalion on the opponent's turn, obviously. On turn 0, I think Effect Veilers can be really good for that. It gives you 6 ways to answer it because you're going to try to chain block the Arthalion as much as they can, obviously. And then I'm actually teching 2 Ghost Spell and Haunted Mansion right now. Now, this is really good into both Yummy and Draco Tail. You use it against Yummy to hit the Synchros when they go to tag out. That's going to be just incredibly detrimental. But against Draco Tail, it's really good against the traps because now it gives you 5 cards that stop the traps. It's also really good against Gulamel or Arthalion returning them or trying to summon themselves if they didn't chain block it. It's also good against Arthalion if they wanted to chain block the graveyard effects against you. And then you can just always use this to stop the return. It's also good into Urgula to add back Phimina, because that is oftentimes one of the ways that this deck can struggle is if they get to add back the Phimina. But now you obviously have the Ghost Bell to hit that, and then it doesn't trade the best, but it's at least live against all those decks. And then there's the 1 Magnamut. This is going to be one of the best targets to use with your Heretic Seal, obviously, but it's also just solid in general. It's good into Yummy. It's okay into Draco Tail into like some weird scenarios. It's obviously incredible in the mirror match. 1 Nibiru. I'm still not a big fan of Nibiru in general, but I'm always going to continue playing it. Well, it's decent. Most of the time people will just play into it incorrectly anyway, so you can get some extra value there. And then the 1 Call by the Grave. So that's it for the main deck. You could definitely switch out the non-engine. Some considerations would be Joel and Lockbird if you wanted to cut back on like the Effect Veilers and even the Bells. You could definitely consider that. You could also consider Ghost Ogre isn't the worst. Ogre, if you're looking to focus on hitting the field spells instead of the synchros in the Yummy deck, you'll want to play Ghost Ogre. It's a little bit better, but those are some options to consider. You can also always play Perulia as well if you still feel like Perulia is really good. I personally have felt like it has underperformed in like every tournament I've played it in, so I've wanted to get rid of that for a while. Then for the extra deck, we have 2 Blue Eyes Tyrant Dragons. The reason for bumping this up to 2 is this is just one of the best cards in the deck, honestly. There are also a lot of situations where I have found I've wanted a second copy, and people will play around the first one, or they'll clear the first one thinking they're safe, and then they'll play incorrectly, and you can OTK them really easily with the second one. It's just one of the cards that, you know, I have sung the praises of for quite a while, and I will continue to do so. I think it's just one of the best cards for the deck. Then you've got 1 Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon, 1 Blue Eyes Ultimate Spirit Dragon, as well as 2 Blue Eyes Spirit Dragons. Now, I know in my last profile I had said that playing 2 and 3, respectively, were really good, and that's still true. However, Blue Eyes Spirit Dragon did lose some of the agency with Obi in School going to 1, as well as Vanquish Soul Canine getting hit so severely. I mean, the Cannon engine is still obviously really good, and this can beat Lantern as well as Jokul, but it's not as frequent that you'll see that as it was prior, so these get a little bit worse. Also, I needed to make room for other cards in my extra deck, and these were kind of redundant, so I figured that these would be the cards I would need to go. And you've got your 1 Lightstorm, of course, 1 Ancient Fairy Life Dragon, 1 Typhon, and then 2 Spirit with Eyes of Blue, 2 Heretic Seal of the Heavenly Spheres, 1 SP Little Knight, and then 1 Line of the Light Charmer Lustrous. This could be pretty much anything else, honestly. Lina's kind of just a holdover, but I felt like it wasn't the worst thing. You know, worst case scenario, I can always make it in Crash and then add like Maiden or something. But yeah, that's it for the extra deck so far. Also, if you made it this far in the video, let me know down below if I should upgrade the rarities of these cards, because I do have, you know, foils of all of these and upgraded versions of them. I just don't use them. So let me know down below if you've been watching to this point, and let me know if I should use like the Starlights of the Spirits and the Collector's Rares and the World Championship pack versions of the cards that I can. It's a nice little way to see if you guys are still watching. But for the side deck, actually, currently I'm doing 3 Retaliating Sea. Now, Retaliating Sea is actually a card I think that is just really, really good right now. Into Yummy, it's okay, but it's really just there for Draco Tail, because your Yummy matchup is actually very good. The Draco Tail matchup can be a little bit rough, and if they activate Rahu or Key 2, you can obviously activate Retaliating Sea, which is going to be really good. It's decent into even Striker. It's solid into just a bunch of decks right now, actually. It's just not a bad card to have. Then you've got the 1 Nibiru the Primal Being. This is just that way when you go first, if you need to side out some of the extra cards that aren't maybe the best, you can always side into a second Nibiru. The reason why you do this when you go first is because it is much more likely for your opponent to have to play into a Nibiru when you are going first, because they have to play into your board. And so that'll mean that they have to summon and extend further. Also, since I'm siding out of the Charmies when I go first, having second Nibiru increases the percentage chance of me opening with it, so it means that I'm much more likely to just have it in general. Then there's the 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, as well as 2 Lightning Storms. Board Breakers right now are actually at a premium. You could argue that these should be evenly matched or Raigekis, but I just wanted to have the Lightning Storms because I wanted the modality of being able to hit back row or monsters. But I do really think Board Breakers are at an all-time high in terms of value right now with the direction the format has gone. So having these in there is going to be really good. Then there's a second Drill Beam. This is just so that way when I go second, I have a higher percentage to open with it, because Drill Beam when you go first obviously isn't that crazy, but Drill Beam when you go second and you open it is just one of the craziest things, because it means that you can force through your plays. So I wanted to increase the percentage of that. And then there's the 1 Ultimate Fusion. This is one of the cards that I'm a big fan of. This lets you side out of Majesty going second and still have the same number of search targets. It also just means that summoning that second Tyrant Dragon is going to be much more much more reasonable. If you're wondering, by the way, in the main deck how you summon the second one, in case you're unfamiliar, you use the wishes to use the Neo Ultimate Dragon, but then you use the graveyard effect of Roar the Blue-Eyed Dragons to fusion summon the Tyrant Dragon. And I know that that's like super obvious for a lot of people, but I also have seen a lot of players lose games just to not knowing that they can do that. So that's just worth mentioning. And then I'm citing 3 Solemn Strikes still, as well as 2 Dragon's Mind and a Solemn Judgment. Dragon's Mind is kind of just like the next best thing. This is also one of the only decks that can natively play it because your end board pieces of Blue Eyes Spear Dragon as well as Blaze White Dragon obviously have the correct stats. So Dragon's Mind gets a lot better, and it just means that you're still able to play a trap deck when you go first, which is one of the reasons why I think this deck is so good, is because you can just turn it into an unfair trap deck that is playing low to the ground, and they can't push through all of that. So that is it for the deck. It's really straightforward. Like I said, it's basically just the same deck I've been playing for quite a while. Let me know down below if this is the sort of stuff you want to see. I can try to get some gameplay with it. Also, let me know if you want to see more options with the decks like this going into the Doom of Dimensions format. Let me know if you want to see a Genesis format Blue Eyes White Dragon deck. That is something I very much want to try because I get to play some of my old favorite cards that aren't necessarily the best in the advanced format. And if this is the sort of content you like, go ahead and like and subscribe. And until next time, though, have a good day.